Have you ever wondered how something trivial can set off a big emotional reaction for you? I'm a psychotherapist and I'm going to explain exactly why this happens and what you can do about it. You're going to want to stay until the end because I'm going to share practical ways that you can manage your triggers in 4 simple steps. All right, let's get into it. I want to start by defining what it means to be triggered. A trigger is a sensation that's experienced in both your mind and your body. Physically, you might experience shortness of breath, a much faster heartbeat, shakiness, or sweaty palms. Mentally, you may feel overwhelmed with intense emotions like anger, sadness, or even fearful thoughts. So why does this happen to us? This is actually one of my favorite topics to talk about, and I'll briefly share the science behind why triggers impact us in this way. There are 2 parts of your brain that need to work together to make healthy decisions. They're called the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. If you remember them from biology class, then you may already know that they're crucial in facilitating your memory and how you act. We'll start with the amygdala. This is the emotional side of your brain that protects you from immediate danger. And it doesn't matter whether that danger is real or just perceived by you. This is what psychologists refer to as the fight or flight instinct. So, if there was a lion in front of you, your amygdala would sense the threat and make you run before you can even think about it. It's an immediate defense mechanism to basically protect you from being attacked. Now, the prefrontal cortex is the logical side of your brain and the one that's responsible for helping you think about the consequences of your action. It's not immediate like the amygdala because it actually takes about 6 seconds to be activated, which may feel like a pretty long time when you're in the middle of a crisis. But that's the minimum amount of time you need to wait before you can use that part of your brain. So, to make optimal decisions, you need both the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex to work together. It becomes problematic when you only rely on your amygdala, the emotional side, when you're triggered. When this happens, your mind starts to believe you're being attacked as if there was a lion in front of you. If you, for example, receive criticism from a partner or if a coworker speaks to you in a rude tone. But the truth is, when someone does something that bothers you, most of the time, you're not actually in danger, so you don't need to believe you're being attacked and become defensive. This brings me to the main question of why you're probably here. What can you do then instead of reacting and only relying on your amygdala? Well, the first step is just to pause. When you feel a strong emotion, stop what you're doing for a minimum of 10 seconds to a few minutes. Remember, you need to wait for your prefrontal cortex to become activated so it can calm your nervous system when you're triggered. The second step is to process. A big part of regulating your emotions requires you to check in with yourself. One way you can do this is by asking, what am I feeling right now? You can also affirm yourself. One of my favorite statements is, I'm upset, but this feeling is temporary. At the very least, you should breathe slowly by inhaling, holding, and then exhaling. This moment of pause gives your emotional brain a chance to work together with your logical brain to regulate yourself. It really sets you up for the next step, which is to come up with a plan. You always have a choice in how you act. So think about the consequences of all your options and use your values as a guide. For example, if you value respect, make sure your response actually embodies that. Once you've reflected on this, then you can proceed with your action. This final step is all about being intentional with your words and actions. Now, it's always a possibility that the choice you make is not the right one. But going through this process thoughtfully lowers your chances of regret compared to reacting on impulse, which is more likely to bring you feelings of guilt, shame, and anxiety. If you have any questions about this process, leave me a comment and let me know if you want a part 2 with more specific examples.